You're listening to Life Check Yourself with life coach, transformational leader, and dating and relationship badass, Marni Batista. Every week, you'll get the raw truth from top experts and real people on the important life and love issues you want to know about. So if you're ready to life check yourself in your relationships, your career, and the areas of your life that matter most to you, and you're not afraid to be called out on your stuff, then you're ready for what's next.
Life Check Yourself with Chris Gillis. Dating multiple men. What to say and do to finesse it like a queen. Welcome. It's another episode recap. By the way, if you're Nick Vial, I messaged you. I should be on your show. It's not your juicy email because, Lord, you could use my perspective. Okay. This honestly was one of, I think, the most interesting and most real life like episodes of Bachelor in Paradise. Let's just talk about the silly show just for a second before we jump into the real life stuff. Okay. I'm not sure. Did Michael audition for the role of co-host? Because basically he's the narrator.
100% narrator. Yeah. That other
100% the narrator.
Oh my Lord.
It was so dumb. Okay. And he's just now suddenly not in the story. He's just chilling with Danielle. No more screen time. So crazy. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things I want to talk about, first of all, why I like this was because it's the most real life, dating multiple people. Usually in Paradise, you're seeing the guy or the girl date other people in front of you. And that never happens, right? But while they did this Casa Amor thing, the big switch, these guys were going on dates with other women. And that's what can happen, right? And this is what I want ladies to hear first of all. You can have an amazing date with a guy on Friday. And you're like, oh my God. And he's like, I'm going to call you. This is amazing. I've never met anyone like you or whatever. And then next, maybe you have another date planned for Thursday or the following Friday or Wednesday. But let's say on Monday, he goes out with someone else and he has an even better time. There's a different connection, right? And then he's not as into it. Maybe he doesn't text you as much. And you're thinking, oh, what's wrong with me? And what I really liked this showing was that the guys weren't really saying there's something wrong with Shanae or, Jill is goofy and I don't like her anymore. None of the guys who changed their person really said anything negative or wrong with really the woman that they sort of decided not to continue seeing. They just felt a better connection, whatever that means, with the other person. And I'm just saying this because when you are out there and you're just making up all this shit that the reason why someone didn't ask you out again or decided to date someone else because there's something inherently wrong with you or you have bad luck or men are assholes. It's not necessarily true. It might just mean that they found a better connection with someone else. That means that's a good thing because now you're not going to waste your time dating them. And by the way, if you're not a total schmuck, AKA Shanae going ballistic, they might come back.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I too thought the more practical real world results. I liked there's a little bit of everything. There's a little bit the guys had into the other person more. That the girls into another person more. They both weren't. They realized they both weren't into each other.
Right.
A little bit, a smattering of it all, and
the way they handled it was so different, right? Let's talk about Shanae, right? So Shanae gets told I have a better connection with someone else. And what does she do? She's the most unattractive, the thing we don't want you to do. What was a turnoff about the way Shanae handled it? That Logan was and this is exactly why I don't want to date you anymore.
I felt well, first of all, just the fact that we saw that she was literally trying to bang some other dude in Tyler and then couldn't get away with it. And I didn't like how she flipped it all and it was all about her creating a narrative that he was the bad guy, leaving her and making herself a victim, all that, and it's really very quickly glossing over and making him wrong. That's what that's the best, I think, most succinct answer to your question is. It felt like she was making him wrong for saying that that he has a stronger connection. And like you pointed out, this isn't a fucking test question where you're wrong or right. It's a personal preference, and that and like that you're saying, hey, Shanae, he's giving you a great opportunity to say, oh, that's a bummer. I get it. By the way, I don't know if you were going to mention it, but shout out to, I did not see Lace handling it as well, and everyone thought she was going to erupt and go Mount Vesuvius, but she was kind of just more saddened, like, man, that's a bummer because I really like you, Rodney. Whereas Shanae turned it contentious, and then of course, had to like start yelling and track people down and.
I just wouldn't have a conversation with the girl, Kate. So, I mean, that's just, and then basically that's reinforcing like, I dodged a bullet, whereby, and we see a trailer where possibly Kate is going to like ditch Logan, right? Right? They show that in the trailer. And so if Shanae maybe plays her cool and is like, okay, and is confident and be like, like if I'm your person and I don't find anyone, then, maybe you'll be my match, maybe not. And then we can look at Jill, who shockingly, so I like Jacob too. Like Jacob says, look, I had a spark with someone else. I really felt connected to her. Yeah. She didn't choose me, but that tells me that you're not my person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, fair. He handled it. He stayed calm. Like he was grounded. He doubled down on his meditation. It was I was surprised. And then Jill's like really sad. And she decides to leave. Fair enough, right? Like, I'm tired. I don't want to put myself through this again.
Yeah. Do you think that's premature though, Marnie, to quit? I think we see that in a lot of times the real world where, people will take themselves emotionally off of the market. They're physically there. They're out, at the bars or with their friends and doing everything. People are like, hey, what's up with Jill? And they're like, yeah, she's in a funky place right now where she's there, but kind of angry or bitter and kind of taking out what Jacob did to her on other guys. I think it's a common thing. And it's a bummer she checked herself out versus being, who is it? Somebody stayed there that was curious. Oh, I guess Shanae did, right? And she should have left. She's a little shithead, but she didn't. And she stayed there. And it looks like, according to the previews, that she's making out, swap and spit with somebody.
Somebody else. I think that what you said is really true, is like you're taking yourself off the playing field. The only reason I would give Jill props for leaving is that what we learned about from our friend Nick, that when the producers want you to go, you just go, okay, and you don't argue about it. Maybe they were like, you've been with Romeo, you've been with this, Romeo, we saw the trailer, Romeo's coming back. Maybe they just want to leave some room for Romeo.
No, Romeo's not coming back.
Justin is coming back.
Love Justin, by the way.
Justin, I think Jill and Justin had a thing. So she left, but I think what you're saying is a really, really super good point. Like if somebody says, you're not my person for whatever reason, don't make them wrong. It's not going to help you. It's not going to make you feel better for the long term. It's going to create a resentment and a heaviness in yourself. And really what we want for you here is for you to just be like, you know what? It's not a match. It's really sad. I'm disappointed. This sucks. And also I'm going to stay open to the possibility of somewhere else. And then like my favorite was Jasenia. And
Jasenia. Yeah. What does she do?
Jasenia and oh my God. Andrew, he was like, well, I kind of like someone else. And she was like, well, I kind of do also. And they both were like, cool, no harm, no foul. Let's.
You're thinking of Andrew and Brittany, right?
I'm sorry. Andrew and Brittany, right. Andrew is with Jasenia and Brittany is dating Tyler. And that's also what can happen out there in the real world, right? Like you're dating. You both kind of feel like you're pulling away. You realize, like, I'm interested in somebody else, or actually there's no chemistry. My daughter, my oldest daughter, was dating someone and she was like, I need to clear the clutter. Like, I know that he's not my person. And she, instead of kind of like procrastinating on answering him about going out again, she was just like, I kind of feel like we're not a match. And the guy was like, honestly, I felt like we weren't that kind of a match either, but I wanted to give it a go. And honestly, this is amazing because I think we would be really great friends. And I'd love to introduce you to my friend group. And like, we should be friends. And that's what comes from that energy of like honesty, directness, and no bad vibes. And I think that just the way that you can handle rejection is really showcased here in interesting ways. And you could choose to take your highest road, because if you do, then you could show up and meet someone else.
So would you give, if you were to give the first place trophy, breakup trophy, or what are we trophy with the people who separated, would you give it to Brittany and Andrew? And if so, what did they do? What made it so, it was just beautiful. I was watching, I was nervous because I hate breakups, Marni. I don't know about you. I'm nervous and terrible at them and I get all scared, and God, they made it look so easy, and we're coming from such a safe.
Well, I think that this is such a great question you asked, because I think the setup is important. I think they both went into the split, the Casa Amor thing, being like, we've been dating a week. Really, we really like each other. We have no agreement. We're not exclusive. I don't own you. You don't own me. And they went into it open-minded, and they didn't take it personally. So when they came back, they were careful. They didn't want to hurt the other person's feelings, but they didn't say like, what? Well, how dare you? It was just like, oh, yeah, wow. You know what? We're better off as friends. So I think that the intention of going into the experience of dating was, I went on a great date. This guy's great. I'm going to keep filling my funnel. I went on another date. Well, that guy was actually more interesting. And I also like the way Andrew at first with Jasenia was like, I don't know. I mean, I like Brittany. Let me spend some more time with her. And then he really got to know her. He gave it a chance. He was open. And he went for it. So we don't know where any of these people end up. But I would say those are the best vibes. Although, well, we're going to talk about Victoria in a minute. I would say obviously the worst is Shanae.
Cool. And I going to add on to that. I thought, so it sounds like what you're saying is that Jasenia, what she did is she didn't have, when he gave her, and I think a lot of gals do this, when he gave her that, she was kind of like a little heat check, and he's the only one she's met, so her fucking water's bubbling. She's at 100%. She's all in, and he's like a little bit tepid and lukewarm. She didn't take that. She did not have a Shanae style meltdown and say, what's wrong with me? Start comparing herself like the other person we're going to talk about in a second started doing, and she didn't make it all about her not being enough. She quietly was, because she's still a human, right? She quietly, she took it to herself and talked to a friend and kind of mumbled like, this sucks, whatever. But she didn't just puke and barf all out into him, and she didn't make him wrong for it as well, for giving his truth of where he's at. Also, I want to give him props as a guy and or a girl, just to have the bravery and the vulnerability to say, to tell somebody something that you don't know, but it's really to be that clear on where you are actually at with the relationship. There was one more thing I want to say. I'll think of it in a second. I know what it is. And the beautiful thing is, because she didn't freak out, and because he didn't get defensive and she didn't get defensive, guys, you give us I think we're so myopic, Marni, don't you, that we're thinking the world revolves around me. If I'm feeling this way, then everybody must be feeling this way. And if they're not on the same speed as I am, then I guess we're just not together. And that's not, we all start into relationships. Some of us are Teslas that go from 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. Some of us are big old RVs that get a while to get going. But once we're there, though, we're committed on there. And Andrew, like many guys or whatever, it takes a little longer to access and process our feelings. And he was trying to search for clarity. And you can see that.
Right.
And to take that versus searching for clarity instead of searching for reasons. He wasn't trying to rule you out, babe. He was just trying to get clear and wanted to sample, I guess, and, date a couple of people. So I guess the story take home, it sounds like, is if the guys, you go on a date with a guy and you find out you had a great date, you find out when he went another date, that doesn't mean you're, a zero. It means that, heck, maybe he's going to date her and realize, God damn, Marni really is cool. Holy moly. I'm really glad. I really glad I got to get closure on that. And yeah, absolutely. That's the one I'm lucky. Okay, because we forget how awesome people are. Sometimes it takes a couple different Goldilocks and the Three Bears, beds to find the one.
Yeah. I love that. So let's talk about our friend Victoria. So we have been saying the whole time that Victoria is like the model dating with dignity woman. She keeps her cool. She's staying open. She knows what she wants. Yeah. So, oh my God, like if I could literally record, I could record. Yeah. I did record. Victoria coming back to the beach and having a conversation with Johnny about what she's looking for. I was like, every woman needs to do this like on the second or third date. So for those of you who aren't playing along, but want the context, she's dating a guy she's 31. She's dating a guy who's 26, lots of chemistry, having a great time. She meets a guy who's like 31. She has a date. She's like, what are you looking for? He's like, I want to have a family. I have this career. Like, I'm ready to have a life and share my life with someone. She's like, this is interesting. Like, I like Johnny.
Yeah.
But like, I think he might be an F-boy. In fact, she reveals, he's told me, I do not want to get engaged at the end of this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then she goes back and she says to Johnny, and I think this is a lesson right here, is like what not to say. She's like, I met someone else and he just checks all my boxes. And our friend Johnny, little hottie patati Johnny, he does not like checked boxes. He's like, he's too cool for check boxes. He's like, oh, don't you just want to fall in love? Why are you looking for like checklists? And he starts to sort of like unnerve her, but she holds strong. But why do you think like a guy who's not man-volved, like a guy who's not looking for the real thing, is going to like try to create self-doubt when you say this is what I'm looking for or these are my check boxes? Why does that kind of a guy hate that?
Why do we hate the check boxes, or why do we why do we hate the check boxes, and why do we respond that way with creating doubt?
Yeah, exactly. Well, he created doubt. He tried to create doubt in her, right?
Yeah,
he was so uncomfortable. He was so uncomfortable.
Because he's a cool, he's going to be there someday, I think. But he's, a cool 26-year-old. I think they made fun of him on the last week. Kind of embarrassing. His parents were kind of teasing him about, hey, maybe someday you'll get a job. Or so I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, but she didn't ask it in a bitchy way. She was like, okay.
No.
She was like, let me be clear. So like, I'm at a place where I want to get married and have a family. What about you? And he's like, you could just see him like he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it. And he says, I want to do that. What does he say? Like, I want to do that someday, or I want to do that at some point, or maybe one day after I'm in love. But right now, I just want to fall in love.
Yeah. And he wants to do it, organically, and or kick the can down far enough so he doesn't have to look at it. And just change the subject is what he's like trying to get her to do. And he sends all those little smoke screens that she keeps her F-18 fighter pilot on him, asking those brilliant, the truest, greatest missiles of all, it's almost like she attended one of your seminars, are those goddamn perfectly stated, open-ended questions. Well, what does that look like to you? And it just fucking ding, 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 ding. He
literally couldn't answer it. He was like, I mean, all you need to know is I'm ambitious. Because she's like, what about your career? I love this. What do you see yourself doing after this? 6 months from now, a year from now? He's like, all you need to know is I'm ambitious. Why don't you just want to fall in love? And I love that. And then she even says, and I think, again, she's listening for the truth, not listening to what she wants to hear. She says, what you said to me at the beginning of this is you don't want to get engaged. Mm-hmm. Right? She's even giving him an option to change the answer.
Yeah.
I give him credit for not like saying whatever she wants to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. For sure. And you know what? I think, he didn't everything, he didn't want to be giving the wrong answers because he knew, by the way, what the hell's going on with the show to let people on the goddamn show now? How desperate are they that they're letting people on who literally say, I don't want to get engaged at the end of this? Fuck these guys. ABC, they've jumped the shark.
He said it twice. He said it to Gabby.
Yeah.
He made it to the final 3. He said it to Gabby, and then they bring him back again. He says it again.
What in the world? ABC has got like a cotton in there. They're dating bad things. They're recruiting guy daters with terrible. They're not listening. The guy's telling you what he doesn't want or yes, he's cool for school and he's hot. He's got nice hair. I give props to his curly little hair. He doesn't want to, and you know what? He do go on dates and this, but he does not want to lose that first place. Stallion, that horse is that he's got all his money on. So he's just saying whatever he can to the point that he starts pushing doubt into her mind. What's wrong with you? Don't you just want to meet somebody, organically and not have to, make it like an interview and all these things. And thank God she didn't fall in love, and she didn't bite. She could have 100% got upset because he's kind of like, poking her saying she's doing something wrong, and she didn't bite, babe. That was she was amazing. She flinched a little bit, but nope, she didn't. She went right back to it, and it just saw him. You saw him melt down. He starts looking. Emily goes, "Oh, he's building. He's digging a hole." And it's like, he's not. He's poor little guy said, he's digging a hole. He looks like a child with like a little with a little plastic shovel in the sand. He just looks so infantile compared to these high and intelligent questions she was asking, and it really showed that maturity wise. She's leaps and bounds ahead of him right now. And it's probably not.
Oh my God, totally. And so I really do hope that, look, here's the thing, whether Alex is her guy or not, like they might not have chemistry or they might not be the person, but this is just getting her clear that Johnny is not her guy. And that's where you have to really think about what your non-negotiables are and what you're really looking for and be like, this guy's fun. He's hot. I could date him, but it's really not what I'm looking for. And I'm probably going to be super frustrated, 3 months from now.
Yeah.
And so I hope she pivots.
Do you ever encounter gals who have, we'll say, their non-negotiables are just so rare, right? Dating's a numbers game. They're so rare that it filters out just a small amount of eligible men, so that by the time they do meet a guy who fills all those non-negotiables, that they maybe just skips over the chemistry, the liking, the whatever parts. And do you ever have to reel them back in and say, hey, maybe we should whittle some of these, all the non-negotiables as likes and not necessarily needs, because I see it with guys sometimes all the time. They're like, oh, she's got this, and this. And I'm like, bro, you don't even like her. You have nothing in common. Oh, but she's a doctor and she makes this amount of money and this amount of money. Her dad does this. And therefore I'm an idiot, Chris. Look at the spreadsheet. The numbers say this is, I'm dumb. Where else am I going to? I'm like, okay, man, go ahead and do that. But you ever run into that? And at what point, how do you kind of weigh in on the scales, the other factors? Obviously, we got the non-negotiables, then we got the chemistry, and then we got friendship, all that other stuff.
Well, I think that I just interviewed someone for the podcast. He was so great, Glenn. And he was like, I never heard this, and it's probably out there, but it was my first time. He was like, the sixes. He has to be over 6 foot. He has to have a 6-pack. He has to make 6 figures. He has to, all these silly things. And so we always try and help our clients, create a values match, and usually there's a connection based on those values, and that chemistry is either there or it grows or it builds or whatever it is, because they actually start to see the person for who they are. And the other thing is, I will say, is that sometimes people mistake chemistry for 6th grade butterflies or high school drama. And we talk about the Hoffman process. Always, their shtick is you get to know what love means or feels like by unhealthy experiences of love, right? Love is martyr, love is where you just sacrifice everything. Love is, when you have power. Love is, unrequited, like getting crumbs. And so you kind of have to look and say, like, am I having a healthy adult love, or am I having an unmet childhood need love? And so I think for Victoria and Alex, like, now they need to she needs to let go of he's great on paper, and now just needs to know if he's her person. Because what I think she got clarity on is that Johnny isn't, no matter what, and that Alex may be or may not be. But she could give it a go. He's definitely pursuing her. He's treating her with the respect. He's super handsome. I think if she has to be open. That's the other thing. Sometimes you meet that great for you guy, and your head says, go for that guy. But your heart and your emotional child is like, stay with Johnny. And then you're like, yeah, we just didn't have chemistry. And you go back to the wrong person. So you have to also, like, truly be open and curious, and giving the Alexes, the benefit of the doubt, and giving them a chance to wow you.
Got it. So would you say to somebody like the gals who are Victoria and they found this guy, he's perfect on paper, and tell me if it's the same with ladies, but guys for sure, we put a high value oftentimes at utter. She's got to be, sexy as hell, and then they'll, a year later, they couldn't care less. The sexiness, if you're an ugly person, you're an ugly person, and it shines through. So is there a way to kind of compartmentalize and put that on pause, close the book on, okay, cool, knowing that I got my non-negotiables, my important things, that's there, and then just sit there and just to really figure out, hey, is this guy, does he make me giggle? Does he make me laugh? Does he have
how
those
do I feel when
things?
I'm with them? Yeah, how do I feel when I'm with them? Yeah. And I think that's what you have to do. And that's what dating is, right? It should be collecting data and having fun. And being, and I remember, like, in my own journey, like, coming across the Johnnies after I sort of did my work. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, like, this would be totally what I used to go for. But now I'm just like, I can see that little tantrumy boy with the shovel. And I'm like, even if you answered the questions right, I'm not attracted to you anymore. Like, you can't even have a grown ass conversation. And I really, Victoria she stays calm. She's emotionally mature. She's done her work. She's a grown ass person looking for an actual relationship. So if she doesn't find it with Alex, I think she would probably be way more successful doing it outside of Bachelor Nation.
For sure, the most improved Bachelor in Paradise character. Remember, she was such a goddamn spoiled little brat. I don't know what. I ran into her in Nashville. Tiny little thing, like, can fit in my pocket, so much smaller than I even imagined her. I don't know what she's done, but she must have done work, therapy, both, working with a dating coach, because she is on point. And when I was sitting there, it was like listening to what, like, it was almost you had an earpiece in the damn world. I was like, Marni, that's what Marni says. That's what Marni would say. That's what Marni would say. She fucking murdered it.
I loved it. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about, because this is like epic. I put a post on LinkedIn about this today because I thought it was so good. Is Jacob and Jill. We're going back to Jack and Jill. And Jill limo ride out where she's like, he was a Lyft driver. He sold his couch
for cash.
And I cried for him. Like, she realized, like, she's like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Oh my God. I'm crying about this himbo.
Couch for cash.
Okay. We know why Jacob signed up for The Bachelor. He's like, I'm driving Lyft. I have no money. I'm handsome and I have a good body. I could clearly make a career out of being an influencer. Maybe he's smarter than we think, because that was definitely an awesome move. Like, good career move for Jacob. But I want to bring this up because I think, like, she's laughing and crying at the same time. And I think that's kind of where people come to me, right? They're like either crying or laughing or both. But usually they're just like, I remember my client, Susan, and she ended up being a success story. And she did a podcast here with me. And she was like, I am a lawyer. I was dating a man who lived in his mom's basement. Like, I was obsessed with him. I cried for him. Like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, my reality is so skewed. And so I really just want to say, like, when you have that awareness, like, no one's ever said that in the limo, like that reflection of like, what am I doing? You know, like, why am I upset with this about losing this guy? And what I'm really trying to do on this show and in my business is create like self-worth to where you're never, if you meet that guy and you have a great time with them, you're like, this guy is fun. And that's what I'm looking for. If you date that guy and he says, and he was very respectful, and I think he broke up with her in a very nice way, that you are like, okay, clearly, you know, I always say God, you know, rejection is God's protection. You're like, honestly, thank you, universe. Jacob was never going to be my guy. Right. But she's so upset because she takes it so personally. And I just really want our listeners to not be in their head about it, that like, if someone says no to you, like is he even your person? Is he a man of value? Is he your equal? Yeah. How is he treating you? Yeah. Like, you know, like really be critical of those things and not yourself, because I don't want you to cry over the Jacobs.
Yeah. Also, add in there into those don't things also that you mentioned. Also, I think take stock and get clear on, well, what was it about, you know, Crystal gifting Jacob that really turned me on, and I felt so attracted to, because then you can go out to the universe and hang out at Crystal's shops or breathwork seminars and find other people who maybe don't have to, they're not on their couch, living on the couch, and to get clear on, okay, what was it about them, and then you could add on to those different pieces, just like you were mentioning with Johnny. Maybe it won't work out with her and Alex, but then maybe she could say, okay, I want a guy with Johnny's fun, you know, cool boy, easygoing energy, but also Alex's stability and, you know, this, and you could, because there's an infinite number of guys out there, and not to realize, okay, like you're getting clear on your man and what you want. And also, like you said, collecting data.
Yeah. I mean, I just really think like that was like the epic line forever. Yeah. You know, he's a Lyft driver and he sold his couch for cash.
I know, and their funny like mouth.
And I cried for him. By the way, segue, are you watching Love is Blind?
I am savoring it. I wanted to, chat with you and see if we can, when we want to start on it, because I'm excited.
Yeah, well, there's a character named Cole, I think, and they're in the pods, and the woman's like, do you have what's your living situation? And he's like, I don't have any furniture. And she's like, what? He's like, I ordered something, but I have to put it together. And she's sort of like, do you have a job? Do you have I thought that was such a great, that's a great question for the pods, right? Not on a date, what's your living situation? But a better way to say it is so at this point, so what's your home like? Do you have roommates? Do you live with your kids? I mean, we have clients who are in their 50s who their, 27-year-old or 30-year-old kid lives at home. That's a valid question. But anyway, we'll have to talk about Cole later because we don't know what's going to happen. But I think so. I think there's a ton of takeaways from this episode. I think in the end, I think the big switch, the Casa Amor, it was really a variation of what they always do on the beach, which is just bring different people in. It was just that they couldn't watch.
Yeah.
For
sure.
And so I'm excited to see next week to see what happens when the meltdowns continue and more guys come in and more women. Yeah. But I think if you all are, definitely go back and watch Victoria. That was epic. Well done.
And awesome. And with Genevieve and really, really liking somebody. I mean, and Aaron likes her, but oh my God, there's no way a man can like a woman. It would be, I think it'd be repulsive to a woman if a guy was obsessed with a girl as much as Genevieve is obsessed with Aaron. And do you have any predictions on how that's going to play out? Somebody needs to get smothered, or if it's just no way in hell that this can be successful when she's that emotional and just quick to just dump it all out there without sitting on it. And it's the way I felt some of the other people processing through the way some of the other people did and using their brain.
Yeah, it was a weird sort of the thing that was weird was like Serene and Brandon are just like, baby, I love you, But she was like, I wasn't worried. Like, I never thought, like, I wasn't worried. I was just chilling at the Vendetta or whatever the name of the hotel was. I think what's concerning about the Genevieves and the Jills was that they couldn't get their shit together, right? Like, nobody wants to date the woman who's like, you're like, yeah, babe, I'm going out of town for the week, and you're like, okay,
how will I live?
I'll just sit on my couch and watch TV. I will sleep until you come back. I mean, that.
I'll wear your night shirt and smell it. I'll hold your shirt and sniff it and just wait till.
No, that is my only concern. Like, I don't think any guy wants to be able to like sustain that. Like, that's just too much work. So I do not think that will last, but you never know. But I would just think I loved it too. The guys are like, I played sharks and minnows and taught you how to swim. Yeah.
While you were gone, they're all imagining this epic orgy thing, going on here. Like, hey, we played a lot of sharks and minnows and tried to jump out of the pool and touch stuff, and we're just like, boys.
Yeah, and that was really it, right? Like, so the guys that were like not interested in other girls, they just had a good time and they hung out with their friends and they chilled. And these girls were like, ugh. And I just think that my mission is to make you not be one of those women. I want you to be empowered. I want you to be like Victoria, and
not to lie
Brittany,
there, like,
and
not to lie while your man's playing sharks and minnows. Not to lie there on your side, and you said last week, and just eat worms. Just, cry. I suck. Because at the end of the day, what it didn't do anything. Just she wasted an opportunity to have fun, and like we talked about, even to make friends with the guys, or make better friends with the girls. Instead, they just laid there with their crystals and whatever they had and just missed their talk, and they bonded over how sad and tragic it all is. And the guys are like, what? No, we were playing sharks and minnows, weirdo. And eventually I think it's going to feel a little too heavy too. No guy wants to be held up that high and worship that high, because you can only fall very far.
Yeah, no, it's not. I don't think that one's gonna last. I love you. Thank you for always pulling over and making time for us here at Life Check Yourself. Ladies, oh my God, like, this is chock full of opportunities to freaking life check yourself. My hashtag for today is be a Victoria. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now. Hey, thanks for tuning into today's show. So if being in an intimate relationship in which you feel 100% seen, heard, and accepted by a high caliber man is a priority for you right now, and you're interested in seeing if you're a fit for working with me and my team at Dating with Dignity, here's what I want you to do. Just head over to DWD VIP, that's D as in dating, W, D as in dating, VIP.com, and book a call to speak with my team. We'll get on the phone with you for about 60 minutes and you'll get crystal clear on what's stopping you from finding true love right now. We'll also take a look at what you want to create, what you want your whole life to look like when you're able to finally be fully expressed as a woman in a healthy relationship with an incredible guy. And if we can help you get from where you are right now to where you want to be, we will show you the fastest path possible that makes sense for you to do that. We help smart, successful women all over the world solve this one missing piece in their life so they can finally have it all. So to see if we can help you do the same thing, head over to DWDVIP.com. I'm Marni Batista, and let's talk soon.